Let's talk about pre-signed URLs. What are pre-signed URLs? When you create an Amazon S3 bucket, by default, it's usually private. So if you upload an object into an S3 bucket, it's private. Now, if you want to share, a link to this particular object with a person, then you need to actually make it public. So how would you do that? First process would be you would actually go and make that particular object public so that everybody with the link can actually be able to access it. Now, this usually isn't a very good practice, especially if you're trying to secure your object in an S3 bucket. So what would you do you want to do? So you see, this is an object URL that is copied here, and now we can't actually access it because it is actually private by default. Now we'd actually go and use things like ACL and bucket policy to actually make it public. But what if you do not want to make it public, but you still want to be able to share it with somebody, specifically for a specific amount of time? Let's say 10 minutes or 20 or even a day, or even 12 hours. So what would you do in that case? You have to use what we call a pre-signed URL. So a pre-signed URL basically is a URL that you generate that has been signed for a particular time for somebody to be able to actually see. So how do we do that? So we go into our buckets. This is our bucket here. Let's click on the object that we want to actually share, and then we come on action and then share with a pre-signed URL. And then we're going to take whether minutes or hours. So if you want to sign it for, let's say, 5 minutes, that's okay. We can use 5 minutes. Or hours, we have between 1 and 12. For minutes, between 1 and 720 max. So if it's hours, 12 hours is the maximum you can actually share pre-signed URL for while you're using the the S3 console, the management console. So for example, here I want to share it for 5 minutes. So I click on this and then create a pre-signed URL. So if I come here and copy this pre-signed URL and then paste it here, this is now the pre-signed URL, and it's going to expire after 5 minutes. It cannot work anymore, and that is how you use pre-signed URL. Now, one thing you need to know is that pre-signed URL specifically can actually be done for up to 7 days, but you have to do that while you're signed into when you're signed into specifically, if you signed into AWS CLI. So with AWS CLI, you can say AWS, for example, AWS S3, then you pre-sign the S3. So this is the movie watch list, and then .jpeg and expires. Then you do expires in, let's say, 604,800. If you convert that to hours, you should probably come back to just under 7 days. So that is the maximum. So you do that, you're going to generate a particular URL, and then it's going to stay there for 7 days. Otherwise, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'll see you in the next video.